So you might be wondering what Rambling After Dark is. Well, it's a place for the Rambling Brothers to be more unfiltered, more unreserved, still the same good old rambles. So sit down, relax, and enjoy Rambling After Dark. So let me start this off by saying that I very much love Ari Aster. He is an amazing writer, an amazing director. If you haven't, you should probably check out his Vimeo. His Vimeo has a bunch of short films that he's made, and it's not anything new. Midsommar and Hereditary aren't anything new. This guy has been, he's very creative in the sense that he doesn't make your traditional movie. And I very, very much respect this guy. I gotta say, Hereditary was a very, very good introduction. After Hereditary, I looked up everything I could about this guy. I wanted to see everything that he's done. I saw Hereditary, and I gotta say, man, that was the first movie where it's like after like the credits roll, you just sit there and you go, "Fuck!" Like, what the fuck was that? And it's just like, it's good. It's so good. The scene that really like, me and my, it's one of those things where it's like you watch the trailer, right, and you get one sense or another of what the movie's gonna be. You already could tell from the trailer of Hereditary. You would assume that it's about this grandmother who's building this house, or like the mother is building this house, and it's gonna be like some psychological thriller about how like she sees her family in the house, and the family will go through some kind of tragedy, but like a melodramatic tragedy, and it'll be reflected in this little dollhouse that she's making. But no, it completely throws your expectations out of the water, out of the fucking window. Like, it just doesn't care. It's just like, when and I'm gonna spoil the shit out of Hereditary and Midsommar, so leave now if you don't want spoilers. But for Hereditary, it's a really big deal. I remember we were sitting in the theater. It was a huge deal when the scene where Charlie is having that allergic reaction and her brother's driving her, trying to get her to the hospital, and she sticks her head out the window, hits that goddamn telephone pole, and I remember, dude, taking like just like the gas, like the air exited my lungs. It was like, what the fuck? They just showed a little girl die. Like, holy shit. Like, it was so new to me. Like, it was just like, whoa. Like, cause it felt very real. The way that these characters are written, it's like they're very real. The teenager, I'm forgetting his name right now, but the teenager in Hereditary does a really good job of being a teenager. He's very much a teenager who has some family issues. And when Charlie died, man, like, it was fucked up. And then they show her head. There's like, oh my God, was it fucked? It was fucked. But it was so just good. Like, it was like nothing I've really seen before. Granted, A24 very much is a like company, studio, I don't know what you call them these days, that like, they make these amazing movies that people don't really give a shot. You know, like The Witch. I'm sure you've heard something about The Witch. I personally love The Witch, but I've seen people say like, oh, it's boring and it looks lame. And it's just like, that's not, come on, like, that's not criticism at all. I hate it when people say like, oh, it's just boring. Well, what the fuck does that mean, it's just boring? What? Like, tell me what you found that was not boring or that you think would be better improved upon. Not just like, oh, I didn't like it. Well, I don't know. Man, I just can't stand people where they're like, oh, I didn't like it. Like, what the fuck does that mean? But anyways, back on to Hereditary. It very much is like Midsommar, where it's like, it has this build up, and then the last 20 or 30 minutes, shit hits the fan. You got the mother being all possessed. You got people being lit on fire. You got the cultists showing up naked. It's just like, that's another thing. Ari Aster, listen here, man. I respect you. And you want to know why I respect you? Because you're not afraid to show dick. I love it. All right? Listen here. Ramming brother, I'm heterosexual, all right? I'm straight. I'm not going to lie to you. But I can appreciate when someone shows equal opportunity and nudity. God damn, is there not enough male nudity out there? Like, and I know it sounds weird. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, if you like girls, then why are you talking about guys? But it's just like, we need extra we need extra out there, man. And in Midsommar, there's some serious dick. I'm telling you, there's some serious dick. There's some serious ass and titties. There's just everything. But like, that's what I love, because it adds this sort of primal, raw, like, element to the film. You know, it's not done in a grotesque, disgusting way. It's done in a way where it's like, this is the reality of human bodies. This is what human bodies look like. They're not fucking supermodels that you're just like, holy shit. They're real people that you're like, oh, holy shit. Like, you look at them and you're like, whoa, like, that's what my grandmother looks like. Like, I don't know what it is, but the bodies that he shows are very much just like older, more matured people, I guess you could say. And I respect you, Mr. Ari Aster. Keep doing your thing, man. Don't listen to what people say. Like, the way that you can create these movies to feel so real, to feel so, like, as if you forget that you're looking through the lens of a camera, you know? That's the beauty of what a good director and writer and cinematography does, right? It distracts you from remembering that, like, you are in a movie theater and you're watching something that was captured on a camera. When someone can make you escape reality and feel for these characters, feel for the story, feel as if they're part of the world, that's a good director. That's a good writer. That's a good cinematographist. Like, it's just, these are the types of movies. Like, there's a difference between films and movies, all right? Everything A24 does is a film. Everything comic book related, or shit like Stuber, or shit like Anchorman and all that, those are movies. Those aren't films. Stuff like Roma and Children of Men, Green Room, those are films. And then they have these, these movies that anyone can see them. They're so entry level that, like, nobody really cares. They're just like, okay, I'll go watch this because I have to, for the sake of social media. It's like, goddamn. All right, listen here. Rambling Brother, Declaration of Independence right here. No more. If you like Marvel movies, fine, go ahead. I'm personally done. I watched Spider-Man, and it made me realize something, is that these movies are never going to evolve. These movies will forever be the same. There's no difference between the first and the second Spider-Man. And granted, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, what the hell are you talking about, dude? You don't need some dramatic change. Was it a good movie? It was good, but it was Marvel good. It's just so vanilla. It's so milquetoast. The story is so generic. The villain is so generic. The Spider-Man himself is so generic. Like, I can't stand that they don't want to take risks, that there's no interesting shots, that there's no interesting dialogue. It's all just basic shit that some first year shat out and was just like, here you go, and that's it. Like, that's all it is. Man. But let's get back on track. Midsommar. Right. I wanted to talk about Midsommar and Hereditary. Anyways, what I was gonna say in Midsommar is, like, as I said in the previous video, there is a gore fest. There's very much a gore fest, and the really cool thing that I found that I was like, oh shit, they actually did it, is the Blood Eagle. The Blood Eagle is fucking legit, man. Like, that's some cool ass shit. Granted, if you look it up, it's debated whether or not it was actually done, or more so just like a metaphorical thing, because, let's be honest, I don't really know if people would be willing to do that, but, I mean, it still looked solid. It looked good. The beauty of this movie, too, is that they don't do, like, the quick cuts, like, like, show it for a second, and then cut back into, like, shot, reverse shot of, like, gore fest, main character reacting to gore fest. It was very much just like, we are going to show everything. Like, there's a slow backtracking shot as you slowly realize that this man has been, that Simon has been, like, dismembered and put into this grotesque, disgusting fashion. Like, oh my god, was it so good. Granted, I was gonna say, the fucking bear thing was really out of left field. Like, I don't know. The bear costume didn't make a lot of sense, and the like, I get it's just, like, weird and cool kind of, but, like, for me it was just like, what the fuck, they put him in a bear suit and now they're gonna burn him alive. The burning alive scene was also pretty good, but it didn't look so hot. It wasn't as good as the Blood Eagle or the you know what else didn't look so hot is the the leg sticking out of the garden, that was fucking weird. Like, that was really weird. Oh man. And then I didn't get to this in the other video either. The comedy in this movie is very it's hit or miss. You know, they got the kid from the whatchamacallit, the runner thingy. What the hell is that? What's that thing called? The runner's trial, whatever it's called. Maze Runner. There we go. Maze Runner. I was getting the two names mixed up. But yeah, they had that kid, William Jack Poulter. Is that his name? He's very much just like the comedic relief character, as he's dragged into the temple wearing a jester hat. He's supposed to be like the comedic character. You know, maybe don't include comedy into your movies. It wasn't, you know, it was hit or miss. There was an Austin Powers reference, which didn't make a whole fucking load of sense. Something that I realized both happened in Hereditary and both happened in Midsommar was very early in the movie, there is a jump scare for the sake of jump scares. I'm not really sure what the jump scare was. So in Hereditary, after the grandmother dies and the mother goes into her room, her work room, to check up, just like to look through some old stuff, she sees the grandmother like in the corner, and it is very much a jump scare. It's like, what the fuck? You just saw your grandmother's dead. And that was a pretty good jump scare. In this one, when they arrive to the first like place where they're about to go into the commune, but they meet in like the first little area, they take some mushrooms or something. They take some kind of drugs, and Danny goes into like this little shack. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a bathroom or something. I don't know what the fuck it is. There's a mirror in it for some reason. And when she lights the candle, or she lights like the light, she sees her dead mother or father. I think it was supposed to be her sister. It happened so fast, and it was so out of place because the tone wasn't set up to be a jump scare. The tone was like set up to be like a, I don't even know what it was set up to be. It just wasn't set up for a jump scare. A jump scare made no real sense. Like, I was just like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck was that? Is she not gonna tell anybody about, like, it literally doesn't impact the movie. It could have been cut out and nothing would change. It's such a weird thing. But, like, again, this movie very much lacks some originality. I think I said that in a previous video, where it's just like, you know, like, you see it coming from a mile away. This movie very much tells you very much what this movie's going to be from the first scene, in that, like, it opens, it has this, like, curtain, or this, like card that's cut in half. I don't know what you call it. Opening cards. And it shows the entire story. But granted, it's at the beginning of the movie, so you have no idea that it's the entire story. But if you rewatch it, or just look up that image, that's the entire movie. You're like, holy shit, he just gave away the entire movie. But granted, you go in having not watched it, and you have no idea that that's the entire movie. But then everything that's foreshadowed, like, there's some very heavy foreshadowing in this that, like, a 9-year-old would understand. Because, like, they arrive to the commune, and they show this quilt of, like, this love potion, which I've heard is in voodoo, but I guess it's also a Nordic, or I don't know what it's supposed to be. Swedish? Is Swedish Nordic? It's something. But they show this quilt where, like, it's this love potion that you create by hiding a rune underneath the man's pillow, and then, like, getting him to eat your pubic hair and, like, drink your period blood, or, like, eat your period blood, and he'll end up falling in love with you. And it's, like, made very apparent that Christian and this ginger girl, Maya, something like that, Maya, I think, are going to get together. Like, it's made very apparent that they're going to get together. And there's, like, the pointing out of the bear, where it's like, oh, then they're obviously going to use the bear. And even it's literally written on the walls, because when Christian is waiting to meet with, like, the leader of the commune or whatever, the elder, I guess you could say, like, there's literally the bear, like, art of the bear getting burned alive. And you're just like, well, obviously they're going to burn that bear, but I guess they throw a wrench in it by stuffing him in it, which you didn't really realize, but I don't know. They also show some, like the foreshadowing of the elderly people dying, the foreshadowing of them using the hammer, the foreshadowing of the yellow temple being used, like at the end for some giant ritual. I will say another part of the movie that didn't really make a whole lot of sense, that I think was just added for the sake of being a little creepy maybe, is the inclusion of this character named Reuben, I believe was his name. And he is the oracle. He writes the holy book, I guess you could say. I don't really know the whole name. Forgive me, I'm not cultured in this culture. But he writes like basically their Bible, their holy book, and he's just like it's very much said that he is a product of incest. That they need someone who is deformed in order to read or in order to make the book, so then that way the elders can decipher the book, because he's unclouded by judgment or something. And they even drive home that fact by the fact that at the end of the ceremony he's literally sitting in clouds. Just like, okay, come on, dude. Like, it didn't make sense. You could totally cut that character out of the movie and guess what, it wouldn't change. But it's added there, I guess, just for a little bit of creepiness. I know when we were in the theater and they first showed him, they showed like I'm sure it's in the trailer too, they showed like the deformed kid. I remember in the trailer people gasping like as if they were scared, and I was just like, it's just a dude, like what the fuck are you gasping about? That's another thing. Let me say, granted, if you go see this in a movie theater, be prepared for some audience interactions, because I feel like this very much is a movie that will get a reaction from audiences. Because during the mating scene, when Christian is just going to town on that girl, oh man, it sounds fucked up. But when he's mating with this girl, it is very like, I guess everyone, here in the West, we are very much just like, we're like, when it comes to sex and such. Like, we don't really like talking about it, we don't really like thinking about it, but we like having it, right? And it's just like in this movie, there's a very, very long sex scene between these two with a bunch of elderly women all naked, gyrating, rubbing on their titties and shit. And it's just like, I was just like, I was drinking in the moment, because I'm like, this is raw, like what I was talking about earlier. This is raw. This is what, this is what the human body is like. This is what the actual imagery is supposed to be. But everyone in the theater at first was very much just like you could hear people's discomfort, but then once the elderly start like chanting and doing the song, it very much turned into laughter. But I feel like everyone was a little, because they were laughing for the sake of being uncomfortable, and also because maybe it was a little comedic. It is kind of funny that like, you have these two people fucking in front of a bunch of old people, and then the mother of the young daughter is like singing a lullaby to the man. And it's a little weird. And there's even a part where one of the elderly ladies like pushing down on him to make sure he's getting in all the way, and it's like, come on, fucking finish, you bitch. And it's just like, okay. And it's also really weird that they do this like ritual, I guess you could say, and she keeps the sperm inside of her to make sure, like, I guess she gets pregnant. But it's also really weird because it's like they just assume that she's gonna get pregnant. Like, how do you know? It's not, you're not guaranteed. Like, it's not 100% guarantee. I guess maybe they got some like blood magic behind it or something, but they kill him off right away. What happens a few months later and she's not showing any signs of pregnancy, and it's like, well, I guess we wasted a perfectly good outsider. But like, yeah, I don't know. This movie will very much get reactions out of people. Seeing like the elderly people jump off the cliff, it was very much like I said, it was silent in the theater. People gasped. I remember there was this group of, I don't want to say teenagers, but like they very much didn't see, like someone brought them, obviously. And there was this group of teenagers who were very, very uncomfortable with seeing that old lady jump off, and then the old man get his face smashed in. And it was just like, oh, okay, yeah. I knew from that moment, I was like, oh, this is going to be a good movie. Because, like, when a movie doesn't cut from that kind of shit, and granted, I don't like seeing, I should preface, I don't like seeing people in distraught. I don't like seeing injuries. I'm not someone who will stop and look. But, like, when a movie presents those kind of images to you, because the director, the writer, the people behind it want you to experience this. They want you to see this because this is what they want you to see. Again, that is their whole point of the job, is to figure out what you're going to see. You know, there's like an editor, there's everything. And when a movie, I'm very much a movie person. I'm a movie buff. I love movies. And when a movie chooses to show you this kind of stuff, it's obvious that it's either going to be important to the characters, important to the story, or important to just like the overall tone and message of the movie. And to be honest, I don't really know what the message of this movie is. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's multiple subplots here that don't really add up a lot. You know, the whole Josh, is it Josh? No, Christian and the other guy, Josh. Yeah, okay, yeah, his name is Josh. Yeah, they have this whole thing about them wanting to do a thesis for their PhD. They're anthropology students. I get it's a setup for them to go to Sweden, but like it just seems really, it goes nowhere. It leads nowhere. The whole breaking up between Danny and Christian is probably the most like closed and like better of the subplots, I guess you could say, because it very much shows why Danny is becoming part of the commune, why she is giving up. Like she's very much says, like, you know, I have no family, I have nowhere to go. And then Pele is like, we are family, we have you here, you know. And there's a scene where she goes into like the barn or like the sleeping quarters, and she's crying and just like wailing, and all these ladies around her are just like crying and wailing with her. And it's supposed to show like they're a family. When one experiences pain, they all feel the pain, and she accepts a new family. Meanwhile, Christian is supposed to be like, I mean, it's a little on the nose, I think, but like Christianity, I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but like Christianity, you know, they're both white, they're both from America, and she very much at the end decides that like he will die, and it's supposed to show that she's giving up her other life, because like it's either go with this commune and become part of a family that loves and respects you, or go back to your shitty boyfriend who doesn't give a fuck about you and wanted to break up with you. And it's, you know, I think, I don't know what is it. I guess it's just supposed to exploit like the weirdness of cults, perhaps, because like, I don't know, you know, with Hereditary, it very much was a thing of like, it felt like mental illness, understanding like your history as a family with mental illness. Granted, the mental illness was like a possession of demons and such, but like that's I feel like that's just so then that way the normal audience is like, oh, but like the audience who can like look past and look deeper into it, they see like, oh, it's about mental health and struggling with it and not fully understanding. And it's also like the anxiety and stress of a family. Like that family in Hereditary is fucked, man. They were fucked, but like it was really, I don't know, they're both really good movies. I'd very much watch these over a lot of movies that I've seen in my life. But yeah, these are just some extra thoughts I had about these movies. You just got done listening to Rambling After Dark. Want to follow us? Check the links in the description. Want to support us? Check the links in the description. What can you do on YouTube? Give us a like and subscribe for future rambles.